What are some very creepy facts? Mount Everest is covered in frozen corpses because removing them is very unsafe and time-consuming. They are easily viewed from the climbing routes, and some are used as trail markers. Turnip green boots. In the US, if someone is kidnapped and not found within about a day, then there is a 97% chance the kidnapped person is dead, and 3/4 of them are killed within the first 3 hours of their abduction. After getting stung by a cone snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenom, and it can be lethal. Treatment is basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off. Some of them can kill you in less than 30 minutes after being bitten. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I'm cursing you people with this knowledge as well. Fortunately, alligators cannot. Your like and subscription will really help my channel. If you begin to display symptoms of rabies, you will go crazy and die. There's no cure. Your brain will slowly melt until you're dead. There is no cure, only a preventative vaccine. If you are bitten, you should go to the hospital immediately. The disease progresses slowly enough that the vaccine may have time to take effect. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough, so they used real human skeletons. They've since removed all of them except one. A black mamba is the fastest snake which can slither at a speed of 12.5 miles an hour. They have neurotoxins which are fast-acting. The venom shuts down the nervous system and paralyzes the victim. It has a nearly 100% fatality rate and can kill in 20 minutes. This snake is very aggressive and sometimes even attacks African elephants. When you happen to be murdered, there is only an about 40% chance that your murderer will be found and punished. These are the chances for the US, but in Mexico, for example, they are much worse. Tarantulas can swim, and unfortunately, this bastard does it very well. CNN has had a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s, which they will premiere during the end of the world. The men of the ship Essex, the true event that inspires the story Moby Dick, avoided islands after being shipwrecked for fear of cannibals. The islands were settled, and landing there would have brought salvation to the survivors. Ironically, because of this bypass, the men ran out of food and were forced to eat each other for survival. Hearing is the last thing to go after you die. You just might hear the paramedics and firefighters call off CPR. One reason that crows and ravens are associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards. Half of your favorite 70s rock stars and Hollywood actors had 14-year-old girlfriends. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom, of all bloody reasons. Cockroaches have been recorded eating human flesh, both living and dead. Probably as a last resort, there are many studies that show they don't like human contact and will clean themselves rigorously if they touch us. Our skin is very oily and can suffocate the breathing holes in their carapace. Elmer McCurdy was a failed Old West outlaw. His preserved body was put on display in a traveling carnival, and years later, he was eventually assumed to be a mannequin until he was used on set for the TV show The $6 Million Man. His arm accidentally fell off during the shoot, revealing bone and muscle, and that he was a corpse, not a mannequin. Pigs will eat anything. There are stories of pigs entering farmhouses and eating newborn babies. It wasn't until 1987 that the American Academy of Pediatrics declared it unethical to operate on newborns without anesthesia. Until surprisingly recently, the medical community felt it would be dangerous to give infants anesthesia and believed that they didn't feel pain. Serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. This is the example I use every time my husband keeps the door unlocked. It was once discovered that a fir tree was growing inside a human body. Artyom Sidorkin went to the doctors suspecting something wrong with his lungs. The doctors thought they were dealing with a tumor, but turns out he had inhaled a fir tree seed, which had sprouted and had begun growing in his lungs. There's a spider that gives you a 3-hour-long boner before you die from its bite. Blobfish in its natural habitat looks like a normal fish, but it lives so deep underwater that it doesn't use a normal gas bladder to keep itself balanced. Instead, it has a spongy skin that is slightly less dense than water, which becomes damaged and bloated due to the difference in pressure when fishermen bring it up too quickly. Men who are hanged get a death erection, known as rigor erectus. Pretty awkward for the family, I assume. Your like and subscription will really help my channel. Thanks a lot for your donations.